Most people think that business is about effort, where they put in more hours with more pressure and more sacrifice. And that belief is why so many talented people are exhausted. Real business isn't about how much energy you can burn. It's about how clearly you can think and how efficiently you can make your systems to remove you. I did not understand that early on. I thought if I just pushed harder, if I stayed up later, worked 14 to 18 hour days, if I answered faster to people and said yes more often to all sorts of things, that things would finally stabilize. And in the beginning, sometimes they do, but in the long term, it just doesn't work. What business actually does is amplify what is already happening inside of you. If you're unclear, your business becomes messy. If you're anxious, your numbers are gonna feel chaotic. And if you don't trust yourself, you might start to overwork to compensate for that. Business doesn't create those patterns. It just reveals them to yourself. And for a long time, I confused being busy every day with progress. That's when I realized I wasn't really creating something sustainable for myself. I wasn't creating a really sustainable business. I was just managing my own fear. I didn't really feel connected to my body for a long time because my brain and my mind, the little monkey mind jumping around in my head, was running the show. And I had a fear of not making enough. I had a fear of being seen as irresponsible if I wasn't working, if I was making money and not working. I had a fear of slowing down to really find out I built something fragile that was like a deck of cards that was gonna fall down in front of me. So I did what a lot of people do, and they add more. They just keep piling on more tools, software, and strategies, and all these things. But leverage doesn't come from adding. It actually comes from subtracting. It comes from removing all of the things that shouldn't be there in the first place so that you can actually be successful and work in a business that's clean, clear, and focused. The moment things started to change for me wasn't when I added the perfect new skill. It's when I started asking better questions. It's the idea that before you create a business or create a leg of a chair on a business, you ask yourself, can this sustainably make me $200,000 this year? Can it sustainably make me $1 million? If you're working on $15 an hour tasks, chances are you're not gonna get there. It's because your systems and your energy are all wrapped up in you being a cog in your own machine. And I think that this is the trap that a lot of solopreneurs get into. Things start to change when your identity changes from how do I become a solopreneur? How do I work more and create the systems and the offers and all those things to how do I work less? What only needs to be built once so that my time and energy is actually effective and efficient instead of doing repetitive tasks because it makes me feel busy. These questions are kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people because they force you to be honest with yourself. And honesty is gonna break up all of the illusions that keep your business controlling you instead of you being in control of your business. Most business owners don't fail because the owner isn't smart. Lots of really smart people go into business, but their businesses still fail because they won't slow down long enough to see clearly, plan intelligently, and scale back on the things that aren't actually delivering more results with less effort. Now, clarity is gonna feel boring at first because there's no adrenaline, right? You don't get this dopamine hit. When you're really relaxed and you have this clarity, for somebody who's addicted to stress, it's gonna feel dangerous because you're like, why am I not busy? And a lot of people get in their own ways because they're actually scared to confront that part of themselves. Your mind is so full of systems and numbers and fear that when you actually shift to being able to explain your business in small equations and simple sentences, that it can actually scare the crap out of you. Because that's the exact type of fear that's gonna keep you feeling small and stuck. When you start running a business model that is lean and mean and excellent at one thing, not 50 things or 5 things, if you scale that business to $1 million, instead of adding 5 more things that distract your focus from the eye on the prize, like let's be really honest, if you can't scale one offer one business to $1 million, you are going to have an even harder time scaling 5 products to $1 million because you're just so distracted and so fragmented. And you're not gonna get that kind of progress, you're not gonna get that kind of growth if you're always acting from a sense of urgency. And the reason is because burnout doesn't scale. Sure, startups are hard, and when you get started, you're gonna have to put a lot of energy into it. Let's be really honest, the person doing $100 million has the same capacity and the same amount of time every day as the person doing $15 an hour tasks. The question is not how much responsibility can you pile onto yourself and hold without collapsing. It's not about how much uncertainty you can tolerate without spiraling out. The question is often, with conviction, can you choose long-term stability over your short-term relief of your monkey mind, of anxiety, of the fear that you actually feel when you start to confront these questions? Jay Hendricks wrote a book called The Big Leap, and he calls it the upper limit problem. When you get in your own way at the risk of true success, because it's scarier to confront your inner fears than it is to actually grow at the capacity that you know you're capable of. The clarity that you're able to get when you actually take a step back and plan effectively and calm your body, that is true leadership. And leadership isn't often loud. Jeff Bezos in his shareholder meetings speaks last. He lets everyone else speak before, and that's just proof that leadership isn't loud. It's the ability to pause before reacting, to think about all of the pieces and how things can be easier. Leadership is about making decisions without panic, without this sense of like, oh crap, if I don't do something, then what's gonna happen? Leadership is the ability to let something wash over you and prove to yourself that you can also accept being wrong without forcing it in a direction that keeps you feeling small and stuck. Now, a good business shouldn't demand that you sacrifice your family, your integrity, squash your boundaries. That's not strength. That over time is gonna start to feel like a jail cell rather than you actually growing, which is like, they're totally polar opposites. If your goal is more hellbent on building something impressive from the outside than something that works on the inside, something that builds long-term stability and works when life gets hard, then you're not optimizing for the right thing. When you stop optimizing for dopamine and adrenaline and excitement, and you start optimizing for true sustainability, you'll realize that sustainability isn't just like stepping back and being passive. It's about intentionally designing your business so it actually doesn't rely on adrenaline or fear or any of those. So it actually won't punish you for resting and getting that clarity. A sustainable business will hold you even when life gets complex, because life will get complex and there will be seasons of exhaustion. I'm not gonna just like make this out to be that it won't be hard and that there are not gonna be seasons of grief and seasons where you have to take care of a loved one or a child or somebody who's sick. There are gonna be seasons where your energy is simply lower. A really well-built business will anticipate those moments. It won't deny that that is inevitable. Business isn't about extracting as much as possible from you. It's about creating a structure that respects your humanity. And I think that's the thing that hustle culture misses. You want to create something steady, something that feels really clear and has a lot of clarity, and something that gives more to you than what it takes. That is what real strength in this situation looks like. And that is the kind of business worth standing.